Morning guys, we live in unprecedented times, there's no doubt. Here I am on YouTube teaching you politics. Incredible. What we have here on the first slide is what we're trying to do. So as you can see the points in red, these are the bits which we're going to cover over the next couple of lessons. Looking at individual responsibility of ministers and how policy is made. So what does that mean for you? In the end, you should be doing 2 9-mark questions and a 25-mark question. That's what we're going to build towards. So in the end, you'll be emailing those to me. Right, let's get started. Okay, first task, you need a slice of rough paper. We're going to do a retrieval from our last lesson. For those of you who are there, what are the different influences on a minister? 3 minutes, inspired by Arctic Monkeys from this morning's walk. Okay, give yourself 3 minutes. Pause the video before we go on the next slide. Okay, how do you get on? What I've done here on this slide is I've actually tried to put the different points together into different areas. So for example, if you've got them, check which ones you have. You may have additional ones, but these are the ones I thought were most important. So in this area of political, these are the factors that certainly, or the influences that are going to determine how the minister shapes his policy. Could be the Prime Minister setting the agenda for the country. Could be the party's manifesto, the mandate they came in on, the policies they intended to bring forward. Could be the MPs in their political parties. Consider, for example, an MP in a marginal constituency. They may be concerned about particular policies coming through, such as the Heathrow runway, HS2, and how that would impact upon their capacity to get re-elected. And think about the opposition. That could be through select committees. They may be challenging the policy there, and the ministers have to be ready for that. In an advisory sense, these are the people who potentially shape the policy with the minister. Their permanent staff, the civil service, the people they bring in, the special advisors, or interest groups who work very closely with the government called insider groups. They can all help to shape the way the policy is developed. Kind of restrictions within the advisory process would be, for example, Supreme Court judgments on things such as the Human Rights Act, international agreements, the views of other departments on the policy, and quangos, those non-organizational organized groups such as Ofsted. All of these can advise and shape policy. And then the minister is going to be aware of external factors which may restrict their policy. Outsider groups and interest groups, what they're doing there is they are working beyond government to try and change policy by working to influence public opinion, maybe media. Also, you'll have devolved assemblies such as the London Assembly, Scottish Parliament, who'll be shaping policy in a different way. So when you consider it, there are 3 key areas, and there's lots within those areas to discuss. So why is that relevant? Well, if you consider what are the factors that influence each of these, you would look at, for example, under political, the style of the PM. To read about that, you need to get your handout, or if you've got the scan, use this. This is Martin Smith's article, okay, Do Ministers Matter? Turn to page 11, you'll find out about the importance of different examples of prime ministers who are active. In terms of advisory areas, you can see here, it depends on the strength of the minister, how effective they are in actually doing their job. Are they making the policy, or are they being led by these different advisory groups? That's how you do your analysis for this particular question, all right, considering the importance of each and the significance of each. Okay, so what does that look like? Well, if we were structuring our 9-mark question, it would have those 3 points as our key elements which to discuss. You need explanation with examples which you can get from your reading, and the significance of each of these influences then you can discuss. What I thought I'd do is I'll take you through the 3rd one. Okay, so I'm going to look at a minister has to shape policy around a range of external pressures. So, what does that look like? Okay, so here's our point. A 3rd influence is that ministers have to shape policy around a range of external pressures. We need to explain. So we can look at devolved assemblies, and we can say that what they do is they create their own policies, and as a result of which the minister has to maybe respond to those as a comparison. An example would be tuition fees in Scotland, where the government in the UK may feel pressured to change their policy because of what Scotland has chosen to do. If you take that a little bit further, you can talk about external pressures around interest groups who look to work through the media, through demonstrations to try and shape policy that way. I've given you an example here of the fuel protesters. So if you go to this link down here, you'll get this article. Definitely worth a read. Okay, so that's what you should be doing now. And that will allow you to understand a little bit more about that particular example in the context of this. So take a couple of minutes to do that. Pause the video. Okay, so now we get to the analysis. As you can see there, this links to what Smith describes as the complex and independent society that ministers have to work in. What's the point? The point is essentially they have to react to things. They can't control policy directly, but of course circumstances can change over time. So now you have the first one. You can see the model we're looking for, and you can start to consider how you can start to build your own answer. So going back, there's two areas to work on. The first one, the influences politically the minister has to deal with, and the second one, the advisors they have to work with. What I want to see you doing is doing a similar sort of thing. So if you look here, you'll be discussing in terms of the political, the role of the Prime Minister and other factors and how they actually shape the policy. And then you'll be thinking about the advisors and the constraints and how they shape the policy. Looking for around 200 words for each of these particular paragraphs. So, what do we have to do? Your job is to type up the 9 marker, email it to me by this Friday, the 27th. In addition, I've mentioned this before, but it's a brilliant video by Black Wednesday. It's an excellent example about prime ministerial power, ministers, banks, and certainly if you're interested in economics, it's definitely worth watching. As you watch it, you might find there are particular questions you don't understand, or certain points within that. About the exchange rate mechanism, how currency factors work. If that's the case, write those questions down, email them to me, and when I talk again, I can answer those questions. Okay, have a good time. Cheers, guys.